Greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Reddit series video from the subreddit HFY called Children of the Gun Chapter 13 Final, written by Alt Cypher. Lee closed the door behind her and set the lock. She turned down the corridor and joined the others in the galley. Trig looked up when she walked in. "So," Trig whispered, "can you tell us now?" Lee said in a full voice, "You don't have to whisper. The girl sleeps like a rock. She's made it through blast a few times. Getting her to sleep is the problem, but once she's out, that's it." "Oh," Trig said, no longer whispering. "Okay, can you tell us, finally, what's so damned important that you have to drag a 2-year-old on a tactical mission?" Cal said, "I don't expect any of you to believe us, but this is the second time we've been here." "Why wouldn't I believe you?" Jimbo asked. "This isn't a restricted planet, so you've been here before. Who cares?" "No," Lee said, "not just this planet. This mission. All of us, Cal, B, Trig, Jimbo, Diego, and Deacon, we've all been through this mission at least once before." "You're not making any sense," Diego said. Deacon laid his hand on Diego's arm to quiet him. Cal said, "This enemy, the Lepax, has some kind of time travel powers or something. At first, or I guess, it was last time we were here, Trig got caught by one. He went back in time and rescued Deacon from Belcor. He told us that in his original timeline, Deacon had died on Belcor, but after the Lepax had sent him back, he was able to change history, and now Deacon is here with us. In my timeline," Lee said, "I'd lost Bridget when I was pregnant with her. At Belcor, the stress of the mission and rescuing Cal made me miscarry, so I went out to find a Lepex to send me back once I heard Trig's story." "In my timeline, though," Cal said, "Lee never made it back from Belcor, so I went to find a Lepex to send me back after I heard Trig's story." Trig rubbed his temples. "This is a mess," he said. "Time travel, and they were nice enough to send you back to fix the one thing that hurt you the most. That doesn't make sense." "We've had 2 years to think about it," Cal said, looking at Lee. "We still don't know why it was always Belcor. Maybe there's something about the battle that makes it special. Maybe they always send you back to the worst day of your life. Maybe it was just a stupid blind luck. All I know is I got my wife and my child back." "I think you just had the bad dream," Jimbo said. "It wasn't a dream," Lee snapped at Jimbo, her eyes momentarily full of fire. She caught herself before she lost herself. "It wasn't a dream," she said, more and more calmly. "It was as real as anything I've ever felt in my life. I have lived through every day since then. It was real. They sent us back in time." "Then why are you back here?" Diego asked. The whole room looked at him. "Seriously, if our lives were such crap before, why did we take this mission this time around? Why didn't we just stay home?" "First," Cal said, "there was no way I was talking Trig out of taking this job after what Jimbo did to Eddie. That seems to be the constant in all of the timelines." "Great," Trig said. "Jimbo's an arsehole, and in all possible universes." Jimbo shot him a look, but Cal pressed forward before anyone could divert the conversation. "Second," Cal said, we wanted to thank them. They set our lives right, and yours too, though none of you remember it." "Still seems dangerous to bring a toddler along," Trig said. "There was, Lee started, but was cut short by a rumbling explosion outside the ship. They felt the ground quake beneath them and heard the dirt raining down on top of the hull. Everyone in the galley bolted for the command deck, except for Cal, who had made a beeline for his daughter's room. On the command deck, Lee brought up sensors displays in the blink of an eye. She activated it in time to see a giant bolt of energy stab down from the cloudless sky and hit the field just a few hundred meters aft of where the ship was parked. Another deep bass wall of sound washed over the ship and more dirt and rocks hailed down. "What the hell is this?" Trig shouted. "Orbital bombardment," Lee said. "But they're not actually targeting us. Both blasts were exactly, 293 meters away, one fore and one aft." "It's a message," Deacon said. The comms light flashed. Lee glanced at the Trig before he opening the channel. "Go ahead," she said. All that came through the speakers was a ball of garbled static. The crew looked at each other, but no one had any ideas. The monitor in front of Lee sprang to life, and a line of text scrolled across the screen. "Who are you?" The text on the monitor sat waiting. Trigg leaned into the microphone and said, "Hello, can you understand me?" Another burst of static tore through the speakers, and the same line of text crossed the monitor. "Who are you?" "This is the private vessel Stellar Duchess. To whom are we speaking?" Lee said into the comms microphone. Static crossed the speakers then. "We are the Lepax." Lee looked at Trigg for instructions, but he only shrugged. Before he could respond, another squeal of static came over the speakers, and more text popped up on the screen. "You have violated time. Surrender for interrogation and destruction." "Well, crap," Jimbo said. "What does that mean?" Deacon asked. "Violated time, and on what authority would we surrender to you?" There was a moment pause before another orbital blast tore through the ground outside the ship. This time, the ship rocked with the blast, and everyone had to grab something to keep from being knocked over. "That one was closer," Lee said. 120 meters starboard. I think that's their answer to the authority." "We don't know what you mean by violated time," Trigg said in the comms deck. The squeal was static then. "Multiple incidents of temporal abnormalities have been tracked to your location. Surrender now." "Okay, just stop shooting." He tapped the mute button and turned to his crew. "I don't think they're in the mood to talk. Can we get out of here?" Lee said, "They've got a target lock on us already. Taking off is too slow. I doubt we get more than a dozen meters before they vaporize us." "Seems pretty clear that they've got us outgunned," Diego said. Trigg unmuted the comm and said, "Do we get a trial if you're interrogating us? It seems like we should get a lawyer and do it right." As soon as he was finished, he hit the mute button. "I don't know if I can stall them for long. We need a plan." The speaker erupted with static, and a new message on the screen read, "There'll be no trial. Temporal abnormalities will be evaluated and destroyed. Interrogation will determine extent of contamination." "Oh, that doesn't sound good," Jimbo said as he finished reading. "Any ideas?" Lee said. Trigg unmuted the comms and said, "What are these temporal abnormalities you keep talking about?" Static, and then, "Your understanding is not necessary, only your surrender." Trigg said, "You're telling us to surrender, and then you're going to kill us, not seeing the upside for us here." Static then, "Only temporal abnormalities will be destroyed. Remainder will be released after temporal decontamination." Deacon drew a finger across his throat and Trigg muted the line. "There's no telling which one of us is this abnormality that they keep talking about," Deacon said. "But from the stories that Lee and Cal have told us, I wasn't originally here." "As best as we can tell," Lee said. "If I surrender, they should let the rest of you go," Deacon said. "No, Deacon," Diego said. Deacon turned and looked into Diego's eyes. Deacon said, "If what they say is true, I got 2 extra years with you. That's worth more than anything to me. I'd gladly give up my life to save you, and the rest of them." "No, Deacon. No, this is not fair. How the hell do they know who the abnormality is? What gives them the right to judge what's supposed to be true?" Diego said. "No, it's not fair," Diego said. "But that's life." "Doesn't matter," Lee said. "Remember, Bridget wasn't in the original timeline either. That's why I went back, and there's no freaking way I'm giving up my baby." "See," Diego said, "there is no way she's giving up her kid, so there's no need for you to do some big noble sacrifice." "If that's true," Trigg said, "about Bridget being one of those abnormalities, then they'll be coming for her." They looked at each other and realized what the situation was. "They're not taking my kid," Lee said. The finality in her voice forestalled any arguments. Cal's voice crackled in through the speakers above them. "There might be another option." Jimbo jumped when he heard Cal's voice. He looked sheepish and said, "I forgot he was here. When I went back, the Trigg from the other timeline wanted me to grab a bunch of that stuff from Balcor. We've got 14 drums of it in the cargo hold. There's got to be nearly 5,000 liters of the stuff. Pressurized, too. When those things pop, they'll make a hell of a mess." "And we send the ship up on autopilot?" Trigg asked. "We'll tell them we surrender and that we're coming up." "Maybe," Lee said, "as long as they don't direct it. If they wanted it to another bay or give commands en route, it'll be obvious that no one's at the helm." Can you rig a remote from the ground? Trig asked. Not with the materials I have on hand, and not quickly, Lee said. It's still me, Deacon said. Will you stop trying to sacrifice yourself? Diego said. We can find another solution. The speaker sparked out a mass of static and the monitor was red. No more delay. Surrender now or your entire ship will be destroyed. You have 10 seconds. Trig looked at Deacon, who nodded. Trig unmuted the comms and said, We surrender. Give us a moment and we'll come up for interrogations. Static then followed. Launch slowly. Follow attached flight path. Deviate and you will be destroyed. Trig said, Understood. We just have to secure for launch. It just takes a few minutes. Trig cut the microphone and said, Evacuate the ship, Cal. Get Bridget and get as much as you can carry. Deacon, get any last-minute flight instructions from Lee. Jimbo, come with me. We're going to rig the cargo bay to explode. Deacon moved to the side to allow everyone else off the flight deck. Diego stood silently beside him. You know why I have to do this, right? Deacon asked Diego. Yeah, Diego said finally, but I don't have to like it. At least we get to say goodbye, Deacon said. Trig tossed Jimbo a detonator as they scrambled through the bay. Set them for remote detonation. We'll give Deacon the controller. Make sure you put some explosives on the outer hull as well. We want to spread this as far and wide. A handful of minutes later found the remaining crew huddled behind a fallen tree some distance from the ship. They watched the engines light up and flare as the ship rose up into the sky. Diego stared blankly across the field, his face slack and void of emotion. We'll wait here until it's over, Trig said. He kept his voice low, reverent, and respectful. The heat from the engine should have covered us sneaking off the ship, he said. Will he hurt? Diego said. No, Trig said. I don't think so. We stuffed that with explosives and that nasty crap from Balcor. He won't feel the thing. Although their ship is going to be burning in space for a while. Why did they even come here in the first place? Jimbo asked. There's nothing here but forests and Eddie's people. It's not on the way to anywhere, and that doesn't make sense. Had to, Bridget said from the mother's arms. Everyone turned to look at her. Funny-faced man said that they had to come here, to meet us. The color drained from Cal's face as he looked back at the tree. Overhead, a new star was born as the Lebac ship burst into flames, and it fell deeper into the atmosphere. End of chapter, and end of story. And that, my friends, concludes this dose of science fiction fun. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, please don't forget to support the author from the link down below. But if you want to support this channel, there are links as well down below for you to help with. But the easiest way would be to share this video. And if you are so inclined, subscribe as well. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope that you all have a fantastic time until then. Cheers.